Okay, yep. Okay, yep.
We'll get started.
Okay, yep.
We'll get started. Okay, call to order.
Okay, yeah.
Highland Park Board of Education hybrid workshop meeting. We'll get started. Okay, call to order.
Okay, yeah.
Highland Park Board of Education hybrid workshop meeting. We'll get started. Okay, call to order.
Okay, yeah.
Highland Park Board of Education New Jersey Leader Media. Okay, call to order.
Okay, yeah.
Highland Park Board of Education New Jersey Leader Media. Okay, call to order.
Okay, yeah.
Highland Park Board of Education New Jersey Leader Media.
Okay, yeah.
23, the professional development for sheltered instruction training, which is related to our ESL program. 24, the team meetings for treatment. And 25, the independent study program. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'd just like to extend a thank you to the staff members who are picking up the extra assignment. It's an incredible amount of work, even though you are paid for it, to add an additional prep. So I'd just like to thank them. And I know that there have been staff members on previous agendas, but we recognize the sacrifices you're making, and thank you.
Second that, agree on that as well. I appreciate you doing. I'm not sure what we do with the workload. There's teacher shortage. Remind me what Teach Town is? Can you tell me what's important?
Sure, so it's a program that we use for our ABA program. Students with autism is a way to help with data tracking for behavioral problems and monitoring.
Any other questions or comments from the board? You guys are quiet, sir. Sure, right here. Okay. Policies, that's also a short list.
Yeah, policy did not meet. We're up to date on our policies, although we did get a memo this afternoon that there's a new policy coming out because the state has some changes in a form they want us to use, so our policy advisors have given us that to look at. But we're, again, I said this the last few meetings, we're up to date on our policies. And again, about policies, I'll be brief, they mirror state law and state regulation. So when a new law comes into effect or they change the law with regard to schools, we'll have a policy that matches, and we have to, or a regulation that matches. But we have to meet and review them and then vote 2 readings, and there's some on here as well right now. So there's 2 policies for first reading. The first one is the student journalism, which Allison mentioned, which went through the curriculum committee. The second one is the student supervision after dismissal. That had gone through a reading last month, but we discovered, one of the staff discovered a discrepancy in that, unrelated to the changes that were made, but it has to do with who's doing the dismissal at the schools. So we're going to put that through first reading again. First reading will happen on next Monday, be voted on. Assuming it passes, then it'll be get a final vote first week of November. So that'll happen very soon. And that has to do with students in Bartle with parental agreement being able to walk home, which has been requested and which is done in many districts. And then the policy for second reading, 3720, is professional responsibilities, and that's related to our teaching staff. And there are a number of small wording changes to that. I didn't see anything, again, large changes, just some small changes. And that's it.
Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll go to public comment, and then we'll move on. Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved its time for your comments. Board policies 0164 and 0167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. This first round of public comment, we have one again at the end of the meeting, which actually will come pretty quickly, is speakers have 3 minutes to share their thoughts. And if you're interested in speaking, raise your hand. You're a group of person, which is great to see this morning and this afternoon, and some people online. So we got people in the room speak first, and then we'll call you online. If anybody in the room wants to speak. Please introduce yourself.
So you can just tell me who to speak.
Okay, so you're signing in there, writing student. You don't need to put your address, I believe. And then just let us know your name.
Hi, I'm Anna Jurisic. And today I'm here to talk about the issue of athletic trainers, which you mentioned before, and we're grateful to know that you're endorsing in emergency athletic trainers. But we just are looking for support to ensure the safety of our players with trainers, because for the past 4 home games we've had no trainers at our games, and in the last, in the 4th home game that we had, me and 3 other players got injured on the field. I had to leave the field on crutches that my mom provided for me and go to urgent care, and my other 3 teammates did not have to leave the field, but they sat there and they didn't know what was going on with them, and they could not go back into the game. So I brought this issue up to my mom before the home game where I got injured, because the other team asked us for a trainer and we didn't have one to provide them with. And then I brought up the issue that we haven't had trainers at any of our home games, while in some other sports like boys soccer, they tend to have trainers and we tend to not. And another issue with not having trainers is the fact that nobody can help them with just minor injuries. So a lot of the times, I had to be the one giving them KT tape for their injuries and helping them stretch and helping them figure out what was wrong with them, because I've had a long history of injuries. And I'm not qualified whatsoever to be doing that. And so the girls soccer team, a few of my team members are standing with me tonight, we would really like to gain your support and help prioritize this issue, because we don't want to see any more girls going down with injuries and not knowing what's going on, and we'd like to have your support.
Thank you. You do have our support, and Dr. Pritchard can come in here too as well, but what you shared with us was that it's really been a struggle to get trainers, not that we don't want them there. I don't know the issue. Do trainers choose what game they go to? Is that the issue like boys soccer has training more than girls? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, we've had our schedule up since August, so we're just a little confused sometimes why we don't have trainers and they do, obviously it could be a coincidence, but sometimes it just feels like it's not, because we've had our schedule since August, so we're just looking at it like a little more.
So trainers, they're not hired by us, they're coming from an agency,
Correct,
right?
yes.
That's how it works.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in. So yeah, we completely empathize and sympathize with the situation. As a former female student athlete myself, I can definitely understand what you're going through. And actually, as a former student athletic trainer in college, I can definitely understand the experience that you're having. So it's definitely something that Mr. Gerben and I have been working feverishly on. And again, we brought it immediately to the Finance and Facilities Committee. Thank you to Ms. Hopewell for doing that. And typically we don't like to retroactively approve anything, but this was something that was very important to us to do. I will say the feedback that we've gotten from the agency has been, I'm not sure if they're just covering their own selves on it, but the feedback has been that the athletic trainers can select the games that they want to play. And it's my understanding, now I'm not familiar with the tiered levels of our teams, but they're picking some teams that have a higher tier of playing because it's more money attached to it. So sometimes that's why they're picking and choosing. Now again, that's just what they say. I have nothing else to base that on. I don't think that's right either. I think that all students deserve to get service, especially if we're paying for that service. So I'm hoping that the company that we are approving now will be able to fill that need. But please, I'm not at every game, so continue to communicate that with Mr. Gerben, your coaches, and communicate that directly to me. You all know my address. If you see me, come to mine next week. I don't know if you saw my flyer for my lunch with the superintendent, to chat with the superintendent during your lunch or after school, and just come and share that feedback with me. So if we need to do more, we'll do more.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope that gets rectified for you. And thank you for helping your teammates. Although I know that's not in your job description as a player. From our Zoom audience, Jason, your hand is up. You want to introduce yourself and give us your address?
Yes, hi, Jason Kostelnik at 606 Abbott Street. I was just wanted to make a comment about, I saw the in the latest superintendent's newsletter, there was something about a later start time schedules strategic plan. I just wanted to applaud that effort. I think it's a great idea. I think research has consistently shown that a later start time is better for the mental health and educational abilities of the students. They get a little bit more rest. I've certainly seen that with my daughter, who's a student at Bartle. Getting up in time to get to school at 8 a.m. is a little bit tough. Like, we've tried adjusting her schedule, but you can just tell that her natural rhythm is a bit more, isn't so much of like going to bed super early and getting up super early. So I just want to say I commend you for exploring that and look forward to seeing some progress on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, we're gonna move on. We're moving on to your report. My report, and I actually have one today. Yeah, President's report is next on the agenda. There were a few things I wanted to share. And thank you, Jason, for mentioning the superintendent's monthly newsletter. I encourage people to read it and click on those links. We're looking for ways to get all the good happenings, the good things that are happening in the district out to the community. And that is certainly one way to do that. When I look at that, it kind of gets me excited to realize that all these fun things are happening in different schools. As well as the sports that are going on, but there's lots of academic programs happening and class meetings and things like that that are really working on building some community within our schools. There was a meeting this week that Mark and I attended. It was a labor collaborative workshop that I wanted to share a little bit about to the community and to the board. So this is a meeting with our central leadership team representatives and our school leadership teams. Led in a workshop with two members of the labor collaborative program from Rutgers, something we've been involved in for the last few years. Definitely picking up steam now that we're all back. We lost a little steam there during COVID, definitely picking the steam up and working on making all of these teams run more efficiently. The topic was problem solving, and everybody found lots of problems to solve in all the districts. But I did want to share, and then again based on our last speaker, the overall theme that all the teams are working on is the schedule. The schedule, each individual school was charged with meeting and coming up with their, I guess, wants and needs for their schedule, what would work best, what it is now, and what they'd like to see. And then it's going to come to central leadership team to take all of that and to see what's possible. When we were meeting the other day, the central leadership team at that workshop sort of ended up focusing on transportation being one of the big hurdles that has to be overcome to do any of the schedule changing. And certainly one of the goals is to start later, but other goals would be to take the values of the district and what we think is important and make sure that the schedule matches that. And then obviously that's a big task. But it is going to be the year-long work of these collaborative teams, and hopefully we'll be reporting out in the next couple of months what progress they're making or what their conversations are about. The other thing on my kind of list that I wanted to share was that there was also a safety committee meeting in the past couple of weeks. The district needs to have a safety plan physically in place in a binder on paper, as well as maybe a Google Doc. It takes all of our policies and our protocols and procedures and puts them all in one place so that in an emergency, they're there for people to look at and act upon. It also has to be, it goes to the DOE, and that has to be approved by the middle of October, so Dr. DeCoach has been working feverishly with this committee's input to make that happen. And then once that's in place, then the work will continue on looking at that safety assessment that was done in the spring of the whole district and seeing what items on that list we can begin to tackle one thing at a time. So that's what I had, and I want to make sure people knew what was going on. It feels like, to me, it always feels like there's so much going on in this district, and it's good for other people to know that as well. Any questions on that? Mark, you want to add anything?
No, I just wanted to say, you knew I'm getting a reputation around here for being long-winded. I'm really not. Simply that the meeting was all day Friday and included 30 or more members of the staff and us two, Marilyn and myself representing the board, and it was just a fabulous meeting. The people at Rutgers have been doing this for 30 or 40 years, and we've gone beyond the stage of forming a central leadership team and a school leadership team, and on to problem solving with the early start time, or the change in start time, being a major focus, but also each of the schools had focuses in addition, as did the central leadership team that we worked on and talked about and got some advice on how to do problem solving, and it was just great and fabulous, and I'm so glad that we joined this. It makes a difference, and it will make a difference in the future. That's all.
Okay, moving on, we have old business. Anybody can we bring up? No. More new business?
Oh, Darcy, I think either
Yes.
Waving High or she has new business.
Oh, I love Waving High too, but I did have something that I wanted to bring up. Christina, I know you know, because we had a little tweet fest, or maybe not a tweet fest. I tweeted about this the other day when I found out about it, but that the administration is tinkering around with the school-based youth program again, which I'm finding wildly distressing, and I'm wondering if you have any additional information, if the administration's reached out directly, or we're just kind of finding this out through Twitter, which is fantastic, right? Isn't that how you want to find out about potential huge changes to your district?
Yeah, so, yes, that's how we're all finding out. Oddly enough, last week, we got the night before, so what maybe it was like Wednesday for Thursday, or Tuesday for Wednesday, something like that. There was the night before, the day before, all the superintendents got an email of a Google Calendar invite. No body of the email, no information, just a Google Calendar invite to attend this random meeting to talk about the school-based youth changes that they were making. And of course I look at my calendar, I can't attend. I didn't know it doesn't even tell you any information. I know nothing about it. I couldn't send anybody on my team because it was last minute and no one was available. So the superintendents pulled an email together on behalf of Scott Federer, the superintendent in South Brunswick, to email our county superintendent, Kyle Anderson, to say, what is going on? They're able to send somebody, but not everybody was. And this is just the state of the DOE now, just randomly sending a calendar invite, no body, no what the meeting was about, no agenda, nothing. So I have no idea what they even pushed out. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, the gist of what I understand so far is that they want to go from having these like 90 some odd school-based programs to 15 like hubs where they would then, kids would have to leave school and go to one of these hubs. And the 15 apparently, we'll all love this so much, is based on the court system. Right? Because this is through DCF, right? Like the funding, I think, goes through the DCF budget, not the education budget. So it would, it sounds horrific, right? And I mean, so, I'll do what I can through, the chains that I have that lead into the administration in different ways to, make sure that we're in whatever kind of meetings are, happening about this moving forward. Because for us, obviously, this is integrated, it's baked into our district, right? Those employees that are in our school-based program aren't just, off in some little cubby somewhere, right? I mean, they're part of our district. So to lose that funding, to lose that program, but they're apparently making these awful claims like, there are 90 some odd programs and only like 20 of them are any good, like based on what? And apparently there's some report floating around out there that they're using to make this claim. So, I think this happened, what was this last year that it happened? Like, is this deja vu? Was it last year, 2 years ago that they tried to defund it?
Yeah.
Too? And now this is just like a completely new way of trying to dismantle this program. Why they're out for this program? It's like $15 million. It is the smallest drop in any of these, buckets of these budgets. But somebody seems to have it out for these school-based programs. So, You know, like I'll certainly keep my ear to the ground, and I know you'll do everything you can, Christina, and, you know, we'll try to do what we can to save this program, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, I just want to also add that we've expanded our program too. Now we have our tween center, so we've expanded our services down to Bartlett.
We have a tween center? I didn't know we had a tween center.
Well, I couldn't come up with any better term, so I call it the tween center.
That just goes like straight to your heart, the
So,
tween
yeah.
center.
Well, because I mean, the work that Elizabeth, you know, Ms. Asamoah, Dr. Roth, and Ms. Holman do is just phenomenal. I see our student reps, you can't see them at home right now, but they're smiling and nodding their head yes. We all know the great work that they do. So I was really excited through the work of interns. Unfortunately, they're not full employees, but interns to service Bartle and Irving. But so far, the report that I've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive. To provide mental health supports for our students in need in our lower grades too, and increase the mental health supports at middle and high school. So Darcy, to your point, it is a program that we certainly don't want to lose. In fact, we're expanding. So whatever that report is, didn't include all of our data if it's a negative report at all. So I'll keep us in the door down at the county office and let me know if there's anything that I can do and head to the state and you know, speak on behalf of it. I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing we have in our favor is that the Senate Education Committee now is from in the Red Bank area. Red Bank is his district, and there's one in Red Bank that's supposed to be a really good one too. So, you know, I know he's kind of pushing, and maybe if we can get Senator Dykeman to chime in with him, like get Dykeman to see the program, because, you know, there are very few senators in New Jersey who are bigger champions of public education than Senator Dykeman. And he loves to visit a school, so, you know, and he'll go to bat for us. So, you know, I'm happy to do whatever outreach or anything. But yeah, I think it's got to be like a full court press to save that program and that funding.
Looks like we're going to have a visitor from a senator, everybody. I'm excited. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of whenever mental health, students' mental health is such a big issue, and
well, see, and the way that they're framing it is this will, you know, that these 90 programs only service, you know, X number of thousand kids, and if they do these 15, it can serve all kids. But that's malarkey, and anybody knows how a school-based program works. It's hard to get a kid and a parent to agree to be in a program when it's in the building. You're trying to send a kid to some hub that's who knows where, that there's no transportation to. You're going to serve less kids, not more kids. It's preposterous. That's just not how schools work. So, you know, it's just this tone deaf, you know, sounds good in a soundbite, but in the reality of it, especially if it's tied to the court system, people are going to run from that like the plague. Like, no. Just so many no's for everything that they're talking about. So,
yes. Thanks, Darcy. Let us know what we can do, you know, from the board end if you see something. Chris, did you want to?
will do.
Well, yeah, what would they do? Require the students to pay for the transportation to the 15 centers?
I doubt that's even hashed out at this point.
Yeah, not really thought through.
Any other new business? Darcy cheered us up.
It's what you have me here for.
Of course, happy you're here, Darcy, always. If not, we move to public comment. Again, the Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board policy 0164 and 0167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. So, I see a hand from Jennifer. So, why don't you introduce yourself and give us your address?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jennifer Altman, 31 Walter Avenue. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I wanted to speak after Anna spoke. I also have a daughter on the soccer team. And just to give you a little bit more context, there are just enough players that they were able to field a team with 3 or 4 subs this year. There's one team. They're doing amazing. They're number 1 in their conference right now. And the day that first day we had really already said, why isn't there a trainer? That was the day that 4 of our players got hurt. So we are now playing with no subs, probably for the rest of the season, but hopefully not. So I just wanted to clarify, will there be a trainer at all the home games? Even if it costs, that they don't get paid as much?
I'm not sure the answer to that. We're not having trainers because of the lack of funding. I mean, obviously, we'll pay them when we can get them. I'm not sure that it's something that we can guarantee at this point, other than I know we're working on it. The district's working on it.
Yeah, I mean, we're working feverishly. We've contacted the agencies, and we're really trying to encourage them to take our games. I can't make it, since I'm not the agency and staffing the events, I can't make that promise, unfortunately.
We'll do our best. And Ann has her hand raised, and Ann had brought it to the attention of the board a week or two ago as well. Ann, do you want to add something?
Yeah. Thanks, Marilyn. I just, I'm sorry, I think
We hear you. Or we did.
running on two speakers here at my house, like working through some system that, I can't mute my other phone. I to do it. Oh, hold on a minute. All right. If the trainers are working under a system that pays them more to go to boys games, I mean, that's not really acceptable. Or if they're like at a higher level of payment or something. I wonder if there's something we can do about that, if we can like talk to them about how that does not meet our needs.
Well, I'm sorry, just to clarify, it's not that they get paid to do more for boys games over girls games. It's that some games, if you're in a higher division, the division itself pays more than a higher division pays more than a lower division. I'm not quite sure. I'm maybe embarrassed to say I don't know where our girls division falls in relation to our boys division. If that's even the result, it was just feedback that we got from like conferences, right? Like if they're in a certain conference versus another tiered conference, the tiered conferences, the higher tiered conferences pay more than lower tiered games, if that makes sense. So I have to look into it. That was just feedback that we got from the company that Mr. Gervin received that gave to me. I didn't speak to them directly, just information that I'm receiving from Mr. Gervin, who speaks directly to our agencies.
I wonder if there's any priority because
And there's the trainers. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a complete shortage of trainers, so the trainers that are available are taking the jobs where they make more money. We don't determine the price of what we're paying them, they determine that price based on the conference level.
I think our students are all in the same conference.
right, I understand. So basically, all the training companies are potentially, we're not sure, but potentially prioritizing higher conference teams, which in our case means boys teams. Are there other people we could hire?
I mean, I don't know that for sure. That's why we're approving another agency to try to get more. We're looking for agencies that are staffed more too, because that's another big issue is that there's just not enough staff.
So I'm sure the district will keep working
Can
on it.
I make one other comment? I'm sorry, my audio was really in and out. I'm told by my kid that we're both in the gold division.
Right.
Gold and
Yeah, Mark said one second ago.
All our students are in the same division. I think the problem is that North Brunswick and Edison, with giant school systems, are in a higher level division. And what I heard here is that the trainers get more for training on a higher level division school.
Right.
So they'll take a game with Edison, let's say, as opposed to a game from Highland Park. And all of our students suffer.
They're taking boys Highland Park teams for some reason. You know, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I can't answer that. I just know that our students are in the same division.
Right, so then, can we somehow insist that they treat our boys and girls teams equally in some way? Is there?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I will talk to Mr. Gervin and make sure we'll reiterate our stance if he needs anything, on official letterhead or something like that, to reiterate our stance on making sure there's equal access for athletic trainers and for all of our, both our events that are, for students that identify as female and for those that are for students that identify as male.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Any other parents? I know Darcy has her hands up, but I don't want to short any parents with this public comment. Then we'll go back to the board. But I don't see any hands, so Darcy? You wanna jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if we're getting trainers through a service, is it possible for us to try to find like our own trainer? You know, like actually advertise for a trainer, not to get someone through a service, but somebody who's our in-house trainer that goes to our needs?
Well, I guess I guess the thing would be if it's salary and full-time, it would be salary and benefits, and then trying to figure out what full-time looks like. Okay, so my advisor over here, the business administrator, is telling me that we pay about $10,000 for the year, $10,000 to $15,000 for a year for all of our games in general. So that's how much we currently spend on athletic trainers. So if we look to bring someone in-house, I mean, if we're looking to really want to court somebody, it's probably a full-time position. I know in my former district as a teacher, we had a full-time person, but they taught a couple classes. We had like a sports medicine class and things like that, but they flexed their time. They came in at like maybe 10 or 11, taught 1 or 2 afternoon classes, and then did athletic training until whatever time at night. So, I mean.
Yeah, or maybe one of the gym teachers is able to do it, I don't know. I mean, I'm just being.
You have to be certified, that's, yeah.
No, I'm assuming, yeah, but I'm saying somebody may have that,
Right,
you know.
right.
may have that certification that also fills some other need, who knows?
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay, any other comments on that? Something obviously we're going to keep working, this year we'll keep working on. But if we have no other comments, I think I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night,
All right,
everyone.
everybody.
Stay dry.
See you next week, same time, same station.